Today's retro spot, we are having a look at the Kenner, Swamp Thing, the evil Unmen, Anton, Arcane. The evil scientist leader with a spidery biomask. This is one of the many figures that were released at the time that the Swamp Thing figure property was around. Caution, not recommended for children who still put objects in their mouths, contains small parts. This is recommended for ages 4 and up. I would also say, too, that it's based loosely, very loosely, on the Swamp Thing cartoon. Though it does have the same sort of characters, it's one of those examples, too, that it looks like the characters from the cartoon, but their likenesses are still a little iffy. On the back of the package, instructions: with his spidery biomask, Anton Arcane becomes one of the evil Unmen himself in search of Swamp Thing. He can hold his skeleton scepter in his left hand. The eyes of Anton Arcane figure and his spidery biomask glow in the dark after being exposed to direct light for a short period of time. Other figures available for Swamp Thing: there's Snare Arm Swamp Thing, Camouflage Swamp Thing, Bio Glow Swamp Thing, Snap Up Swamp Thing. And then for the evil Unmen, there's Anton Arcane, Dr. Demo, Weed Killer, and Skin Man. And if that wasn't enough, there's also the Bog Rover and Marsh Buggy for vehicles. I mean, Kenner really encompassed a lot of these Swamp Thing figures. I mean, not only were we also getting the Unmen, but we also got standalone characters that joined Swamp Thing in the fight against evil. Set your time machine, by the way, back to 1990, as this is when these figures were being released. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up, and when we come back, we can get a better look at the Kenner, Swamp Thing, the evil Unmen, Anton Arcane. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. So for your accessories, Anton Arcane gets himself his scepter. Kind of creepy if this is something that a child would be picking up back in the 80s, or in this case 1990 when these were being released. It's a skull with what looks to be a visible brain dome to it. Very creepy though. Nice detailing for such a small piece, but still very creepy to say the least. Anton Arcane can hold his scepter in his left hand. Although the instructions say left hand, I wonder if he can actually fit it. Yeah, he can still fit it in his right hand. Not as well, mind you. No? Okay, maybe not. You were correct, package. Spot was wrong. You can put it into his left hand. Also, of course, he gets his Spidery Mask. We'll look at that in a second. But let's first have a look at Arcane's head. Now, again, it's iffy. I mean, these figures were based really on the cartoon, but face-wise, it doesn't look anything like Anton Arcane. I think he actually got the Spidery Mask, and he had the legs and everything. But, it's a shame that his regular human face wasn't on this figure. Instead, we kind of get this spider, just kind of purple-faced character with the glowing eyes. He is also very short, too. A lot of the Swamp Thing figures were very small in stature. I guess factoring in the fact that you were going to be taking the additional piece and adding it to Anton Arcane to kind of beef up his size. I mean, it makes him look... It adds at least another half of the figure on top of, the size that he currently is. But, I mean, without the mask, it is, yeah, he seems a little short. It looks to be like he's got some sort of jacket, long coat, tail jacket on. Articulation, by the way, his head does rotate. Not really a lot because his collar kind of hinders that movement. Arms also rotate all the way around. And last but certainly not least, his legs bend as well. Really ideal for vehicle sitting or other things that those figures would be ideal for. Although his tail, I guess for his jacket, could be a bit of a problem if you ever wanted to sit him in a vehicle. That then brings us to his Spidery Mask. And, well, I mean, really with all the Unmen, these Spidery Masks are just like a rubber appliance. They just stick on top of their head. They're translucent as well. They're not really super detailed, being that they are translucent, this translucent rubbery plastic. I mean, you see the sculpt on the hair, and again, he's got kind of that same dome that he's got on his head here. But there's really not a lot going on with them. Their appeal is the fact that they are just a rubbery plastic, and they are translucent. it's a shame really that they don't have the detail that they had in the show, but I guess you couldn't do that and still have them this neat translucent color. It just wouldn't work. But as you've already seen, it just kind of sticking on top of Anton. I mean, really, there's no section for his head. You're just squishing it on top of his shoulders, and you get something that looks like that. I mean, really, for anybody that didn't follow the Swamp Thing cartoon, to pick up any figure like this now, you'd be looking at this like, what is this? Are you taking just two different toys and you're deciding to make them one thing? The Unmen, I think, are a little more ridiculous. The Swamp Thing figures were cool, but the Unmen figures are kind of underwhelming. I mean, they're cool, but I think of the ones, Anton Arcane's probably not the most interesting of them, unless you like spiders. But he still glows in the dark in the eyes, and glows in the dark on his regular human head. In fact, actually, let's get him held up to the light. Let's have a look at him in the dark and see how well those eyes glow. And actually, glow in the dark wise, pretty good. You really have to hold him against the light for a long period of time for the glow in the dark eyes to light up. But when you first get them done, they do glow in the dark quite a bit. Anton definitely is not my favorite of the Unmen. In fact, he might be one of my least favorite. I think there is a couple of Unmen that might be a little more ridiculous than Anton. But as it goes for being the leader of the Unmen, he's something that you would want to be picking up if you've been collecting the rest of the Swamp Thing figures. I mean, definitely if you're going to have Swamp Thing, you need his arch nemesis, and that would be Anton Arcane. For that reason, I'm going to give Arcane, I'm only going to give him really a 6.5. He's not phenomenal, but again, for what he is, for an early toy property, he's at least got the playability by having the inclusion of the head. It gives a little bit of extra play, and it gives kids the chance to transform their characters, which, I mean, every kid's going to love doing that. Today's Retro Spot, we're having a look at the Kenner Swamp Thing figures, and we're looking today at Anton Arcane. Stay tuned, guys. This spot's going to have more Swamp Thing and other retro video reviews heading your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.